person that they thinks the snake or is the snake, however you want to put it, is just feeding them both because nothing that comes out of her mouth is true. She's telling everybody what gypsies do this month. Gypsy and Ken broke up. Da 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 da. They got in a fight or whatever the stuff she decides to pull out her ass.
You ever watch someone try so hard to convince you of something and it just makes you wonder, what are they hiding? Well, buckle up because that's exactly what Kristy Blanchard gave us in her recent live with Natasha Cooper. Desperation, contradictions, and a whole lot of damage control. But here's the kicker. The more she talked, the less sense it all made. Let's break it all down. For those of you catching up, here's the quick rundown. Kristy Blanchard, Gypsy Rose's stepmother, went live with Natasha Cooper on TikTok. Why? To defend Gypsy and Ken's relationship, squash the endless rumors, and let's be honest, try to regain control over a narrative that's slipping through her fingers. But instead of clarity, she left us with more questions. Questions about her credibility, her motives, and why she's working overtime to keep us from looking too closely at Gypsy's life. Now, don't get me wrong, we all know how this works. Families go public to defend their loved ones. But what we got wasn't just a defense. It was a train wreck of contradictions and slip-ups. So let's dive into the most important part of this live, piece by piece, and see what Kristy was really trying to tell us, whether she meant it or not. Let's start with the headline. Gypsy and Ken are still together, or at least that's what Kristy wants us to believe.
It's never broken up. They are still together. And I wouldn't lie about it. If they would have broken up, I would say they broken up. But they haven't.
Nina is saying the breakup was filmed.
Film? What the hell?
And she didn't just say it once, she repeated it over and over, as if saying it enough times might make it true. In Kristy's own words, they did not break up. Somebody put it on a banner, put it on their foreheads. They did not break up.
No, they did not break up. Somebody put it on a banner, on a forehead, something. They did not break up.
I wish I could run a banner across this like you can on StreamYard that says they did not break up. This has been the craziest mess. I mean, and this is what I'm saying. I mean, when people make up these rumors and these lies just for clicks and views.
Right.
Now, let's pause and really think about that statement. Who goes to this level of intensity to deny a breakup? If there was no truth to the rumors, a simple denial would have been enough. But Kristy didn't stop there. She kept hammering it home, insisting again and again that they're still together, almost as if she was trying to convince herself as much as she was trying to convince us.
How do we know they didn't break up? Listen, if you don't believe what Kristy's saying, then don't believe it. Does Kristy have a thing for Ken? Lord, have
God, y'all.
crazy.
I mean, come on, people. Like as if. Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's about as bad as when they said that you was kissing him in the... I'm telling y'all, when that rumor started a few months ago, when somebody said that Kristy was kissing Ken outside of his apartment, I literally almost peed in my pants.
Girl, when you told me you almost peed in your pants, I almost peed in my pants because we laughed, you and I, so much about it.
And let's be honest here. This level of emphasis is unusual. Stable relationships don't need this kind of public defense. Couples who are genuinely happy together don't feel the need to shout it from the rooftops, let alone bring it up in a public live stream. They just live their lives and their happiness speaks for itself. So why is Kristy so desperate to get ahead of these rumors? Here's the thing. When someone repeats a claim over and over, it often raises more questions than it answers. It starts to feel less like reassurance and more like a damage control. And let's not forget the timing. This isn't just a random chat. Kristy's live came right after the rumors started picking up a steam, making it all the more obvious that she felt the need to address them. And here's the kicker. If Gypsy and Ken are truly fine, why does it matter so much what people think? Why does Kristy feel the need to run a banner about their relationship status?
Creator said I swear, people are so full of shit. that their asses must get jealous of the shit that comes out their mouth.
It feels like there is more to the story, and the intensity of her response only fuels the speculation. So here's where we land. This isn't just about denying a rumor, it's about controlling the narrative. And the harder Kristy tries to sell us the picture perfect story, the more cracks start to show. The question we need to ask isn't whether Gypsy and Ken are together. It's why Kristy is working so hard to make us believe they are. Let's start about one of the most telling moments of Kristy's life. The part where she admitted there's a snake in the camp. Yes, you heard that right. According to Kristy, someone within their circle has been leaking information. Here's what she said. We are very aware. I think I know who it is, but I need to do a little more digging.
Right.
That they are very well aware that they have a snake in their midst.
Yes, we very aware. And like I said, I think I know who
Somebody
it
telling
is.
secrets.
And I got to do a little more digging. But like I said, Natasha will be the first to know.
Yeah.
Because I'll let Natasha blow this shit all out the water. How do you have a snake if it's not true?
Now, let's take a step back and unpack that. If these rumors about Gypsy and Ken breaking up are completely false, then why does it matter if there is a snake? Think about it. If there is no truth to the rumors, there is nothing for anyone to leak. The mere acknowledgement of a leak undermines everything Kristy is trying to sell us. It's like she's saying these rumors aren't true, but someone close to us is sharing real information. It's contradictory, and frankly, it makes her entire defense look shaky. And let's not ignore how she delivered this revelation. Kristy didn't sound confident or in control. In fact, she stumbled over her words, got quiet for a moment, and even tried to change the subject.
StreamYard that says they did not break up. This has been the craziest mess. I mean, they're so, and this is what I'm saying. I mean, when people make up these rumors and these lies just for clicks and views,
Right.
that they are very well aware that they have a snake in their midst.
Yes, we very aware. And like I said, I think I know
Somebody
who it
telling
is.
secrets.
And I got to do a little more digging. But like I said, Natasha will be the first to know.
Yeah.
Because I'll let Natasha blow this shit all out the water. How do you have a snake if it's not true?
Do you hear how quiet she got? Because she realized she slipped up. I thought I would be able to prove to you guys that I was telling the truth, but I didn't expect it this fast. Tell me you don't have critical thinking skills without telling me you don't have critical thinking skills.
That's not the behavior of someone who's sure of themselves. That's the behavior of someone who's just realized they said too much. This brings us to another important point. Why is Kristy focusing so much on the snake instead of directly addressing the rumors? If she truly believed there was no basis for these claims, her priority would be clearing the air, not hunting down a supposed leak. The fact that she's so fixated on this insider suggests she knows there's some truth to what's being said. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Who exactly is the snake? Is it someone close to Gypsy? Is it a family member? Kristy did give specifics, but her vague comments only add fuel to the fire. But not naming names or providing any clarity, she's left the door wide open for speculation.
Out the water. I don't know. This is the thing with the snake. I think that the person that they thinks the snake or is the snake, however you want to put it, is just feeding them both, because nothing that comes out of her mouth is true. She's telling everybody what gypsies do this month. Gypsy and Ken broke up. Da 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 da. You know, they got in a fight or whatever the stuff, she decides to pull out her ass.
And let's be real, that's the last thing you want when you're trying to squash rumors. Ultimately, this whole snake in the camp narrative raises more questions than it answers. It makes Kristy's entire defense feel less like a confident denier and more like a frenetic attempt to shift focus. And the more we analyze it, the clearer it becomes. This isn't just about a supposedly. It's about a family trying to plug holes in a sinking ship. If there's truly nothing to hide, why the panic? Why the fixation on a snake? And most importantly, why does Kristy seem so rattled by her own admission? These are the questions we need to keep asking, because the answers or lack thereof might just tell us everything we need to know. Let's talk about this idea of Gypsy being independent. Kristy wants us to believe that Gypsy is fully in control of her life, making her own decisions and standing on her own 2 feet. And sure, on the surface, that sounds like a great narrative. Who wouldn't want to root for someone turning their life around after so much turmoil? But here's the problem. That narrative doesn't hold up when you look at the reality of Gypsy's actions or Kristy's constant interference. In Kristy's own words, Gypsy's her own person. Nobody tells her what to do. But here's the thing. Kristy doesn't just tell Gypsy what to do. She defends her at every turn, controls how people see her, and even explains away her behavior. For instance, Kristy commented on how Gypsy takes down and re-uploads her videos, brushing it off as just her being in the mood to do so.
I don't know why Gypsy takes down videos. I don't ask her. I don't. What Gypsy wants to do, Gypsy does. If she wants to take the videos down, she takes them down. If she wants to put them back up, she'll put them back up. She just gets in these spur of the moment moods and, oh, I feel like deleting this or I feel like doing this. And she does it and then she'll put it back. Who knows? I mean, Gypsy's her own person. Nobody tells her what to do.
Really? Is that independence? Or is it a way to cover up mistakes before they can gain traction online? Let's also not forget Gypsy's history, because her track record speaks volumes. This is someone who has made impulsive, emotionally driven decisions time and time again. Decisions that haven't just affected her. They've had devastating consequences for the people around her. Whether it was manipulating someone into committing murder or rushing into personal relationships without thinking them through, Gypsy's actions have shown a pattern. She prioritizes her desires over logic and often over morality. And here's the thing about Kristy's narrative. It assumes we've forgotten all of that. It asks us to believe that Gypsy is now this entirely different person, completely independent and perfectly capable of making sound decisions. But where's the evidence? What we see is the same impulsiveness, the same lack of accountability, and a continued need for validation. Independence, that's a stretch.
Okay, Bookie. Krusty. You want to borrow some of the Vaseline off my face to get those chapped lips? Because your lips was looking extra chaps in the baby shower pictures. I'd rather be oily than dry. Dried in the Sahara Desert. It's giving hater.
Let's break this down further. Gypsy's recent life choices, like her whirlwind relationships and her decision to have a child while still under the constraints of parole, don't scream independence. They scream recklessness. And yet, Kristy stands by her, insisting that this is all part of some grand stance. Or is it just more of the same patterns? This time with Kristy working overtime to clean up the messes? The truth is, if Gypsy really were independent, we wouldn't need Kristy explaining and defending her every move. We wouldn't need live streams addressing rumors, deflecting criticism, and managing the public narrative. True, independence means standing on your own, not having someone constantly running interference. So, Kristy, with all due respect, let's call it what it is. Gypsy isn't independent. She's being propped up and the cracks are starting to show. Now, let's shift gears and talk about what might be the most emotionally charged part of Kristy's life. The baby. Kristy said, I quote, "Say what you want about me, but the baby is innocent."
Why would people say that? Keep the knives away from the baby. You know what I'm going to tell you? Go self. That's what I'm going to tell you. Like, the Natasha's coming out of me right now. Like, you know what? Say all you want about me. This child is innocent as innocent can be.
Exactly. And that's exactly, Kristy and I have already had this conversation.
And you know what? She's absolutely right. The baby is innocent. Nobody's arguing that. But let's be real here. Nobody's blaming the baby either. The real issue isn't the baby's innocence. It's whether Gypsy and Ken are ready to be parents. And instead of addressing those very valid concerns, Kristy uses the baby as a shield. Think about it. Every time the conversation gets too close to the truth, questions about Gypsy's stability, Ken's involvement, or the family dynamics, Kristy pivots to this emotional appeal about the baby. It's a classic deflection tactic. Focus on something everyone can agree on, the baby's innocence, to avoid answering the hard questions. But here's the thing, the hard questions aren't going away, because this isn't about whether the baby is innocent. It's about the environment this child is being brought into. It's about whether Gypsy and Kane have the emotional maturity, stability, and resources to provide a safe, healthy upbringing. And frankly, Kristy's defensive, combative approach does nothing to reassure us. In fact, it has the opposite effect. It makes it seem like she's more focused on silencing criticism than addressing real concerns. Let's not lose sight of the bigger picture here. This isn't just about one baby. It's about a pattern. Gypsy's impulsive decisions, Ken's questionable role in her life, and Kristy's constant deflections all point to a chaotic dynamic. And chaos isn't exactly the ideal foundation for raising a child. So when Kristy tells us the baby will be well taken care of, we have to ask, by who? A family that's scrambling to manage public perception? By a couple who can't stay out of the rumor mill?
What you mean, so will Kristy have the baby? She's going to be living here with Gypsy. I mean, come on, people.
Exactly. Because Gypsy won't be able to stay more than, what is it, 2 nights a week? 3 nights a week?
No, Ken could stay here
As much as he wants to, right? But she can only stay with him.
Right. She
A
is
couple nights.
limited. She is limited to her time there.
Until she's off of
Until she's
parole.
off of parole. And then look, I wouldn't doubt it. After stroke of midnight, when her parole is over, we might be moving her there. You never know.
The reassurance isn't there. And here's another point worth considering. Kristy herself seems to recognize the instability. Why else would she talk about the baby living in her home with her supervision? It's almost like she knows Gypsy and Ken aren't fully capable of handling this responsibility on their own. But instead of addressing that directly, she doubles down on the idea that everything is fine. At the end of the day, this isn't about criticizing Gypsy for the sake of it. It's about holding her and the people defending her accountable for the decisions they are making. A child's innocence isn't a free pass to ignore reality. And the reality is, Gypsy's track record doesn't exactly inspire confidence in her ability to handle the demands of motherhood. And it's a fact Kristy seems determined to sweep under the rug. So here's the question we're left with. Is this about protecting the baby, or is it about protecting the narrative? Because from where we're standing, it seems like the baby's innocence is being used as a way to avoid answering the questions that really matter. And until those questions are answered, the doubts aren't going anywhere.
She's going to be living here with Gypsy. I mean, come on, people.
Exactly. Because Gypsy won't be able to stay more than, what is it, 2 nights a week? 3 nights a week?
No, Ken could stay here
As much as he wants to, right? But she can only stay with him.
Right. She is limited. She is limited to her time there.
Until she's off of parole.
And here's a puzzling moment. Kristy said Natasha Cooper would be the one to blow this out of the water and expose the so-called snake. And that begs the question, why Natasha? Why does Kristy need someone else to handle this if she is so confident in her truth? Relying on someone like Natasha, whose own reputation is, let's say, complicated, only adds to the doubt. It makes Kristy look less like a strong, confident figure and more like someone grasping at straws. If the truth is on your side, you shouldn't need someone else to fight your battles.
Like I said, Natasha will be the first to know. Yeah. Because I'll let Natasha blow this shit all out the water.
So after all this, after all the denials, the accusations, and the emotional appeals, what are we left with? When you step back and connect the dots, a clear picture starts to emerge, and it's not the picture Kristy wants us to see. Here's what we know. Kristy spent the entire life insisting that Gypsy and Ken are still together. She doubles down on this narrative, repeating it over and over, almost as if she was trying to convince herself as much as the audience. But at the same time, she admitted there's a snake in their camp, someone close to them leaking information. That alone undermines her entire argument. If everything is fine, why the need to hunt down a leak? Why the panic? The two narratives don't align, and that inconsistency is telling. So what does this all tell us? It tells us that this isn't just a family trying to clear the air. This is a family scrambling to control a narrative that's slipping through their fingers. The repeated denials, the emotional appeals, the reliance on external allies, it all points to a deeper inability. It all points to a deeper instability. And the harder Kristy works to convince us otherwise, the more obvious it becomes. At the end of the day, this isn't about whether Gypsy and Ken are together. It's about why Kristy feels the need to work so hard to convince us they are. The truth doesn't need this much effort. It doesn't need a PR campaign. It doesn't need deflections, emotional appeals, or outsourced damage control. And the fact that Kristy is doing everything in her power to shape the narrative suggests that the truth might not be what she wants us to see. So here's the big question. What is Kristy really hiding? Because when you connect the dots, the picture that emerges is one of desperation, contradictions, and a refusal to address the real issues. So what do you think? Do Kristy's words hold up under scrutiny? Or are they just more spin? Let us know in the comments, because this conversation is far from over, and trust me, there is a lot more to uncover in this story.